I've always been a big fan.
No problem.
So yeah, what's with the current edition that's been out now? You know, the one of your original trilogy?
Oh, that? That's just so I could correct some things I thought could use some improvement.
Yeah, man, but you're defacing art.
Excuse me?
Art, man, you're vandalizing it.
I'm the artist, writer in this case. I'm not defiling someone else's work, I'm modifying my own. It's mine.
No, it's not. Once you release something to the public, it's theirs. It belongs to the public consciousness.
You do realize that J.R.R. Tolkien altered a chapter of the original first edition of The Hobbit, right? To flow better with The Lord of the Rings. The first edition of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was later changed because the Oompa Loompas were African pygmies.
Man, fuck Lord of the Rings and fuck Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you want to have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, stick to the Wonka movie, man. I mean, this is a classic. This is space battles. It's a way of life. And speaking of Roald Dahl's pygmies, you got a lot to say about racism for putting stuff like that in your newest stuff.
What racism?
Don't lie to me, Joe J. Banks.
He's a comedic jester type character.
He's a minstrel and you fucking know it! I want to see that son of a bitch blasted the kingdom come in the next one!
How do you want me to sign this?
Here's how you can sign it. I, Jeff Licarde, do hereby acknowledge that the latest releases are nothing more than cash grab failures. And I hereby vow to re-release the original trilogy of stories in high quality paper, none of the Xerox paper bullshit.
Look, the first editions are out of print. I think you're just gonna have to learn to...
Out of print my ass! I know that the original manuscripts for it are located somewhere on that branch of yours!
Please move along before I have security escort you.
Look at that, everybody! Jeff Licarde is shutting out his own fans! You greedy, pretentious, tight-wadded son of a bitch! You don't have the decency to make the story the fans' way. What? Just because you've made billions of dollars off of this franchise, does that give you the right to make a story yourself?
Actually, yes. It's my work, my creation, and I can tell it as I see fit.
I'm so glad you got bought out. Now that means that real people with real talents can go back to making good space battle story, not the bullshit that you and your company have been putting up these last few years.
Security!
This belongs to the people now, bitch! Security!
Yeah, that's how you fanboys always behave regarding Mr. Lucas. Hello again, everyone, and this is MC Square.
And the Otaku Jock.
And we just got back from Anime USA. That was very fun. We met a lot of voice actors that we admire, and so yeah, we've been wanting to talk about this for the past week or so since it was announced, but we just haven't had the time lately due to, you know, travel distances and all that free time, and so yeah, let's get started on it. Disney buying Lucasfilm.
Where on earth did this come from?
Well, it came from out of the blue, and the moment I heard the news, my immediate reaction was, this can be either a good thing or a bad thing.
And I'm kind of the same way on that as well. I think that this is, on the one hand, it's a terrific purchase by Disney, and for the amount of money that they paid Lucasfilm for this, which was approximately $4.06 billion, which I believe is about a little more than half of what Disney paid to acquire Marvel. Just with that amount of money, you've essentially bought up one of the biggest geek franchises in history, and now you're going full steam ahead with doing a new generation of movies, a new trilogy. Yes, episodes 7, 8, and 9 are in the works, and episode 7 has already been announced for 2015.
Not just 7, 8, and 9, they plan to release a new Star Wars film every 2 years from now on. The Star Wars films, one person described the Star Wars films now turning into James Bond films.
Now, I honestly think that this could be a brilliant idea, because I know that there are Star Wars fans that are out there that read some of these expanded universe novels, and they would love to see maybe like an entire movie based on one situation. What's great about this is that it opens up for not just different actors and different themes to appear in the Star Wars, but also for different directors to come in and give their take, because there have been so many directors nowadays that took their influences from Mr. Lucas and his original trilogy.
Now, I'd like to voice my own thoughts. First of all, $4.05 million. Billion dollars, that's right. Well, they both end in illion.
Well, making sure one is 100 times more than the other.
Yes, indeed, but you can see how I made the mistake.
There you go. I should say 1,000 times, so I made a mistake.
So we're morons.
We're both morons, okay.
So yeah, $4.05 billion. You know what that money's going to? Charity.
Educational charities.
So anybody that accuses George Lucas of being money hungry, that he can't get enough money, yeah, eat your own shit.
I think George's actions speak a heck of a lot more than his words. I honestly have to at least applaud him, because I think even he recognized that this was probably the time. I think especially after Red Tails performed so poorly at the box office, he probably thought it was the right idea to basically not only pass on the Star Wars franchise, but we got to also remember that passing on with LucasArts will be the Indiana Jones franchise as well.
Another thing, well, there's this. Yeah, that's going to be so hard getting used to. And another thing, when I heard the news of Episode 7 and beyond, that almost made me cringe, because George Lucas has always been adamant that his films are, well, I guess they're not his films anymore, they're a corporation's films, but he always intended for the films to be the Skywalker story. And he was always adamant about that. Oh, there's not going to be any more. There's not going to be any more. Now he's given it to a company that have decided, yeah, there is going to be any more.
Now, I can honestly give Disney at least a little bit of space on this, because let's face it, I think that we all shared these same concerns when Disney acquired Marvel a few years ago. But now here we are sitting here in 2012. The Avengers absolutely dominated the summer before Dark Knight Rises came out. It became a huge phenomenon, and it practically made $1 billion back from that original purchase. I was watching Mad Money with my father the other night, and Jim Cramer actually brought up the Star Wars acquisition. We both agreed that with the movie, the merchandise that surrounds it, and everything else, there was a good chance that in 2015, Disney could make at least a quarter of its money back on this purchase in one fell swoop.
All right. Another thing is the concern of what direction the films will go in. And a lot of fans have expressed concern that it will conflict with the canon of the expanded universe post Return of the Jedi.
Right. Anyone who knows anything knows that it's like Star Wars has never been dead, people. There have been comics, novels, all sorts of expanded universe stuff that has been released in the decades following Return of the Jedi, and even the decade following, of course, the prequel trilogy.
Exactly. Now, there are a lot of people that go by the belief that, well, if George didn't make it, then it doesn't count. It's what I like to call ostrich mentality. If you don't see it happen, then it didn't happen. Plus, there's the fact that, well, it's stuff not made by the creator. Now, I've looked into this, and George Lucas's stance is sort of, on expanded universe canon, is sort of half and half. He has said that Well, the main story is the movies, and the stuff that's in the books and video games and stuff, that's not really my thing. I don't follow that stuff. But he hasn't really said that it doesn't count. There's different levels of canon within Star Wars. There's George canon, which is everything in the movies. And then there's, I believe it's called C canon or S canon. I forget which is which. It might be C canon. Where it's pretty much everything you see in the expanded universe. There's the comic books, the novels, the video games, and all that stuff. And it's very high up there with G canon. Because people take C canon and they accept it. They embrace it. Then there's the lower levels. There's S canon, which I believe is for secondary canon. Secondary canon is, interesting stuff, good stuff, but it's not really up there with C canon. This is stuff like the old Star Wars Marvel comics and stuff like that. Elements may survive into C canon, like Lumia, the Dark Lady of the Sith. And then there's the Infinities canon, which is stuff that just is not canon at all. This is stuff that was like in Star Wars Infinity, Star Wars Tales, stuff like that. It's just what-if stories.